G'day everybody, we're on our way to Warwick this morning. We're doing a track day on the motorbike. We're out here to support a mate of mine, Chris. You might have seen any of my previous videos. He has an FGX R6 Turbo, but today he'll be racing his bike. We're going to take you over a track day and what it's like, what you'll need, and show you some cool footage, and it should be pretty fun. Alright guys, we made it out here this morning at Morgan Park Raceway. We've got to unload Chris's bike, which I'll show you in a second. We've got a bunch more bikes turning up. It's a really nice morning. It's cold, but it's beautiful. Alright guys, this is Chris's BMW S1000RR. It's a 2010 model. It's basically a track bike, a race bike. You guys that don't know, it's very similar to my one. They're 1000 cc's. It's got roughly 200 horsepower. It's basically got sprockets, full exhaust, you know, all the good stuff. It's got his Pirelli Diablos on it today. Nice little slick here. Very sticky. We'll be putting tyre warmers on these to keep these warm. Yeah. Today's just a track day, not a race meet, so it is Chris's first time out at Morgan Park. So we'll go over a couple of things that you'll need to know if you're going to bring your bike out here as well. For one, if you have headlights, a lot of the places that run these track days, they don't want you to have glass out on the track that's able to break up, cause other people to have flat tires and basically stack their bikes. So you'll need to tape up your headlights. Obviously this bike here has fairings that don't have headlights, but disconnect your brake light. It's a good idea just to disconnect your brake light anyway, even if they don't require you to do it. You don't want anybody else making mistakes due to trying to anticipate what you're doing. So if they can't see a brake light, it's actually a much better thing. You wouldn't think that would be the case, but it is. A lot of people take their number plates off. Insurance companies do come out here and they do take note of who uses their bike at the track, which could cause you to have trouble with insurance should you stack it on the street close to a race day or shortly after a race day or a track day. It's so nice to be back out here, guys. I haven't been here in probably 10 years. The track I learned to race on. I used to race Formula V. If you don't know what that is, I'll show you a picture here. Really great fun, and this is the old stomping ground. I'm keen to be back here. I just need to get the bike out next time and get some cool footage of me riding out there. But today it'll be Chris. We'll meet Chris in a second. Pretty cool dude, very good rider, better than I am anyway. Yeah, but he has a passion for it, and today we're going to show you what it's all about. Alright guys, this is Scrutineering. They're basically just going to check over the bike. A couple of the things I mentioned earlier about taping up your glass. They'll check your helmet, make sure your bike's not leaking and it's generally in pretty good condition. Little sticker here means you can go on track and rip it up. There's a few things you can look at to test your suspension and get your suspension right. Definitely recommend getting a professional to do it, but you can actually stick a zip tie around your fork here. Basically this will tell you how far you're compressing your shocks while you're out on the track. You can see here it's reasonably midway under hard braking. That's not too bad here. My bike is a little bit softer in the front end, so mine comes down a little bit further, which means that my suspension is being compressed more than it really should be, and it's not ideal for track. But mine's mostly a road bike, so it's not quite stiff enough for all-out racing on a track, but that's something you can do. A little bit of information about your suspension and get someone who knows what they're doing to adjust it for you. So for those guys that don't know, this is a tyre warmer, and it basically preheats the tyre, so Chris won't have to go out and do a couple of warm-up laps before his tyres warm enough that he can push hard. He'll be able to set it to an optimum temperature, go out there and get into it straight away and have maximum grip, nice warm tyres, and all he has to do is go quick enough to keep them hot throughout the session. That's that. Having the tyre warmers is that we can set the hot pressure rather than having to set the pressure cold and then rechecking it when we come back after the track session. So definitely a more reliable way of setting the pressure. 24 off the warmers on the rear. A little bit more on the front. Yeah, 30 off the warmers. 30 on the front, 24 on the rear today. This is a beautiful track. I really miss it.
Out of that corner would be pretty good too, actually. Yeah. Depending on when the sun ends up, but the sun should be going that way.
Alright guys, so there's a few things for beginners that you don't want to forget when you come to a track day, and I'm going to go through a few of them now. You want to bring yourself a seat. It's really important so you have somewhere to sit and relax between race sessions. You can get very tired very quickly. I definitely do. When I come back in from a race session, I'm buggered, so get a seat. Water, got to keep hydrated, bring some Powerade or something like that, keep your electrolytes up. Very quickly get cramped, especially your adductors and your hip flexors. I find I cramp really bad around there. You want extra fuel? Extra fuel, I've definitely forgotten to bring enough fuel before and I had to limit my sessions for the day, so make sure you bring a spare jerry, and even a spare jerry can for that if you run out. Usually if you fill the tank, bring another 20 to 30 litres, you should get through a day of sessions pretty easily. Extra oil, and should you need to top up your oil for any reason, you shouldn't really be using oil, but it's always good to bring yourself a litre or two. Brake fluid as well. If you find you're having problems with your brakes are going spongy and you're losing your brakes, definitely bring some brake fluid and the tools to change it. And the other thing is a toolbox. Definitely bring your toolkit. It's really important, but do all your maintenance before you get to the track. There's nothing worse than getting to the track and having to bleed your brakes, ask people for tools, change the spark plugs, things like that. Like, just stuff you should do at home. Make it easy for yourself. Caffeine for you morning people. Appropriate clothing for the day. Today's pretty cold, so I've got myself some nice and warm clothes on. If you're on the track, it doesn't really matter. You're gonna be hot and sweaty, so it's probably a good idea to bring skins or something like that you can strip off to between sessions. Another one is ramps. You bring your ramps so you can get your bike off the ute or the trailer that you brought it on. Really important. It's not too easy to carry the bike off the back of the ute. I have had to do it before. Tire pressure gauge is a big one. You can usually get away if you don't have one. You may be able to borrow someone else's, but you don't want to be the guy having to do that every time. Tire pressures is something you should be playing with on the track. Very important to check tire pressures. You want to bring your license so you can get in, and bring your GoPro and mounts. You want to be able to capture that nice footage that you got and all your excellent riding for the day. But in saying that, leave your ego at the door. You don't want to be chasing times on a track day. At no point should you be chasing times if you're a beginner around the track. It's just a quick and easy way to lose the front end or high side or something like that. You should all start in the slowest group first time out. I did, and I slowly moved up, but it's really important to stick to your speed. Don't worry about what anyone else is doing. Otherwise, that's going to be the point where you come off the bike, and you don't want that. It's not worth it. So the next thing we're going to do, guys, is we're going to have the rider's brief. It's something you don't want to miss. So the guys behind me here are just doing the rider's brief, and they're just making sure that everyone is on the same page. People know where it's okay to pass, which flags mean what, and all the basic safety stuff, guys. So definitely important to get down to these. Don't miss a safety brief. Don't even miss it if you've done this 10 times.
You'll be fine. You will be fine. Don't worry.
So this thing's actually warming itself up. You can hear it. As it gets warmer, it'll progressively rev it more until it's up to operating temperature. has just been out for a session. Unfortunately, there was two bikes that did collide and they were cut short, so they had to come back in. So we're gonna wait for the next session, check over the bike, have a look at the tire wear, that kind of thing, and head back up. Something that's really useful when you're out at the track is the fact that you can get your tires changed here. So looks like Kawasaki today are changing tires. As well as that, you'll be able to hire gear, any gear you like. I've hired a one-piece suit from here before because I didn't want to wear my two-piece. It was a bit restrictive for me. Yeah, so just talk to them. If you don't have gear, don't think you can't come out to the track. You definitely can. Let's go see what happened. Alright, so we've had a look at the video, quick check over of the bike, look at the tires, check the pressures, make sure it's okay, and we're going to head back out for the last run of the day and hopefully have some more fun. Here we go again. So I just want to say, if something happens and you're pushing hard like Chris was and you lose the front end, come back in, assess what's going on, assess yourself. You may be fatigued. If you do feel fatigued, don't keep pushing because that's when you will make a mistake. This is Chris's first time at this track. He found the limit on that particular corner and you saw he did lose the front end a little bit, but he did the right thing and he came in to assess the bike and assess himself, and he's going to go back out and have another go. guys, I'm not going to pretend to know how to read the tyre that well, but what Chris has just explained to me is that he needs to adjust his rebound just slightly. The way you can tell is looking at these little dots here, and you can see that there's build up on one side of the dot, not the other. And he was also talking about the direction of the wearing. If you guys want to spend a bit of time looking up online how to read tyres and tell me what you think, but Chris did say he needs to adjust his suspension a little bit. He does have a small amount of tearing here, but let me know what you think. Something I was talking about earlier in the day is there's this zip tie here, and how we were going to use it to tell us how stiff we need to have the front springs. At the start of the day, they were sitting up around just below the halfway point here, and at the moment you can see here that the fork has come down, pushed this zip tie all the way to the bottom, which tells you that the entire travel of the suspension is being used, and that's not what you want, because when it bottoms out, you no longer have any suspension travel to help you with the grip. It's all in the tyre, and that's when you lose your front end. So Chris has noted that he needs stiffer springs for next time. I believe you've already got it maxed out. He already has the springs in it maxed out, so we'll need to change the springs out for next time and try and push a little bit quicker. Something I didn't mention is gear. You will need a zip up two-piece at a minimum for most track days or ride days. Some places require a one-piece suit, but you should be able to get away with a two-piece as long as you can zip it up. Alright guys, we've got the bike on the back, we're getting everything packed up, putting the Jenny back in the car. So thanks very much for watching, really appreciate it. If you enjoyed the video, make sure you like and subscribe. We'll be back next time. We've got some car content to come and some bike content as well. When we get back to the drags, get the 9-second pass on my S1000RR. Pretty keen. Cheers guys.